So we're gonna go into a big topic right now, because this topic is immigration to damnation, or long-term solution for dwindling birth rates and zero-level workforce labor. Let's see. Like, we're going to unpack this first. Let's just report a bit on like what's going on currently, because that's what we do, and then we'll have a we'll
discussion like right
have
after
a discussion
we
and give our thoughts. I wrote all my treaties and pretty much that's what politicians do, filibustering. So without mass deportations and border control, there is no solution, MEP Georges Boussade states. This is in relation to the Boussade report, which refers to a legislative report drafted by Spanish MEP Georges Boussade, a member of the conservative Vox party.
Which is Jorge, by the way. I'm just like curious.
Well, if it's Spanish, you could say Jorge or Jorge. Okay. I'm using more of the Portuguese alliteration here. Okay. But yeah, Jorge. He's a member of the conservative Vox party, which is obviously the Spanish party, and the European Conservatives and Reformists, ECR group in the European Parliament. It's formally part of the reform package for Eurodac, the EU's biometric database for identifying asylum seekers and irregular migrants. So as you see with some of these articles, Europe needs immigrants, but does it want them? The problem is the term immigrants, it's been also misaligned and, completely diluted here, because, first of all, you have asylum seekers, then you actually have, legitimate legal immigrants, and then you have also illegal immigrants. And it seems that people, they have difficulty making distinctions here all the time. Everything gets bunked up into one thing, unfortunately. And this is, in my opinion, on both sides of the aisle in most cases. We have here in a short clip, Boussade lays out his criticisms for EU migration policy, warning about weakness and danger from uncontrolled immigration. It is true that already, I think even Nigel Farage brought this up some time ago, that at the beginning, prior to the refugee crisis with the Syrians, the EU put forward an asylum policy, but the parameters and the wording were so vague. And Nigel Farage, again, whether you like him or not, doesn't matter, but he did raise the alarm by saying, like, okay, well, this is going to create astronomical issues, which actually have been even highlighted later on down the line by people who were even in favor of, helping the refugees and everything, like Chancellor Merkel, who later then did say, well, we overlooked and didn't consider like how insane, managing this whole thing was. And this was all on the basis of the EU asylum policy that was pushed out. Because again, centralization of the EU, they push out the policies, and then every other EU state, they take it into consideration, which is part of the reason why Hungary, who didn't accept it, had issues with the EU, and they were even, I think, somewhat sanctioned.
Thank you. Sure. Should I play it?
Yeah. This one's only 125, so you can put it normal.
Yeah. Just give me a sec.
No problem. Did you first bump to sign them into effect?
Very much, President. Habib Rahman, who's from Afghanistan, whose asylum application was rejected. He killed somebody in Saxony. This individual is out right now. Organizations that help these migrants, they make these particular administrative procedures which have no end even more complicated. So deportation also has to take into consideration, of course, the result of an asylum procedure. If it is rejected, the individual has to be sent away, and the individual has to be incarcerated, held in detention until that moment comes to be deported to a third country. It is only thus that we can move forward, so that people understand that we have rights, we have laws, so that Europeans understand that and foreigners understand that as well. As far as the guarantee mechanism, I think it's quite clear that the various visa systems and the trade agreements, they ought to be suspended immediately if a third country does not accept returns. We need some sort of order and structure for these particular regulations to work. Nothing of this nature is in the proposal of the Commission, which leaves us in this horrific state of confusion and chaos. Thank you.
So obviously he's referring more so to asylum seekers who are coming in from war-torn countries or countries of problems, and in some particularities, some of these individuals do cause crime, and then it's all about how to deal with these people. Where, interestingly enough, which we're going to cover in a second, but before I do, I just want to mention in relation to this, the reception for this was that the supporters for this Bouchade report are Vox from Spain, Lega from Italy, AfD from Germany, the PIS, which is the Law and Justice party from Poland, and the Rassemblement National from France, which is obviously Le Pen's party. And they view it as a necessary tool to control illegal migration and protect borders, which is something that Poland is very, which also we reported on previously. They've been very, very heavy-handed on, because they want to actually, they've put an amount of effort and funding into securing their borders. The critics for this have been the Greens and the European Free Alliance, the Progressive Alliance of Socialists and Democrats, NGOs and human rights groups, this is because they have condemned it as a violation of human rights, especially concerning child data collection and racial profiling. Mm-hmm. So, I can kind of see in some degrees a bit of both sides here, because it's like, how do you protect the interests of the citizens, legal citizens within your country, and also how do you maintain this situation where it's like, you're trying to help out people that are in problems, and not all of them are bad people. And of course, it's difficulty, kind of like what he mentioned, because sometimes there's a bit of a culture clash, right? And it's hard to integrate some of these people. However, I would say it's like something that I mentioned before. It's like, why aren't we exporting instead those things that these people seek in those countries, instead of perpetuating more conflict and potential, wars? And instead try to help in that degree. That's what I think, instead of importing, you know what I mean? Which doesn't help anything, because we're not even helping out the citizens, the most vulnerable in our own countries either, which is shocking. You want to carry on with that, mentioning about
I just want to say my thoughts very briefly that like we mentioned, Poland has strict rules regarding immigration, yet I think it was back in around 2004 and onwards that I think about 1 million Polish people went to the UK.
Yeah, I remember that.
Also, regarding immigration, I understand there are genuine refugees from war-torn countries, but on the other hand, there are a lot of immigrants who say they are from war-torn countries, who conveniently lost their passport, but in actuality, they are from countries which have basically shit economies and bad employment, low wages, and these people are they seek better opportunities in life. And some people would argue, okay, well, what's wrong with that? They're people; they want a better life.
Yeah,
but there is a way to do everything, and if it's not legal, if it's not legal, then what do you want, really? You're going to jump the fence.
This is the criticism that they call it economic migration. And don't get me wrong, there are many, we are seeing, people from Asia and South Asia and even South America who come in here legally, and they've got jobs and stuff, because obviously there's more development in certain sectors, like IT and also the tech sector right now.
Yes. And there are a lot of skilled people as well, or people who get the skills. It's just a matter of that if a country accepts migrants, or people in need, you need to have things in place for
the right infrastructure. You need the right infrastructure.
Be it homes, be it jobs, be it anything. They don't even have it for their own countries, let alone for foreigners coming in.
That's my point. Yeah, exactly.
And sure, you can say, prioritize your own people, but I don't know. It's a tough one. A lot of people would want immigrants, but maybe they wouldn't necessarily want them in their own living room.
Yeah. What's intriguing about all of this is that we have Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, and Emmanuel Macron, obviously, who have announced a one-in, one-out migration deal. This is in light of also recently that small boat migrants crossed the channel on the day of the Starmer-Macron conference, which is quite interesting. And at the same time, Greece has been suspending asylum applications for migrants from North Africa in particular. I guess the argument could be made that, you know, there's a lot to be said in relation to this topic, because the Busada report is in part, you know, the EU Pact on Migration and Asylum, which is obviously aiming to overhaul how Europe handles asylum seekers and irregular migrants, or in this case, illegal immigrants, and also in terms of how to return them, right? How to return them back to their country. And
but like people are not like Amazon products. It's difficult to return them. It's not like, oh, I want a refund on this. I mean, to be honest, like before that we mentioned like the UK and France. I think the UK also had like some agreement. Was it with an African country, maybe Rwanda or something?
Uganda, I think maybe in Uganda or Rwanda. Yeah.
I think it was Rwanda. And that's if they catch, let's say, illegal immigrants or something, like instead of dealing with them, they just ship them off to another country to deal with them. And it's like, are you serious?
It's
I think the UK probably pays the other country to receive these people, and it's like borderlining like human trafficking.
No, it literally is. It literally is.
It's like, what is going on?
Shows you the inhumanity.